Okay, so Nahla, tell me about what it was like on the ground in the Egyptian protests during the time of the revolution.
Yeah. I think the biggest part of it, to me at least, was the unity and seeing everyone together and seeing Muslims beside Christians, the young beside the old, men and women. So that was really a big part of it. And also, what unified us was the basic demands that we all wanted and the basic values that we all shared, because it was really about, I think, uh, freedom, social justice, and this is shared not just between all Egyptians, but I think between all humans.
And what are the dynamics between Christians and Muslims in Egypt at the moment, and how did those dynamics play out during the revolution? We hear a lot about sectarian violence, but from your own experiences, what is the other side of the coin?
Yeah. So Muslims and Christians have been living in Egypt for centuries, and then during the past decades there had been these incidents of sectarian violence, like you mentioned, and I think this comes down to two things. The first is that Egyptians have been oppressed so much in the past decades, uh, and when you oppress someone so much, they tend to take it out on people who they really shouldn't take it out on. So that's why you get like home violence and violence against women, and also I think the sectarian violence was part of this. And the second thing was, and I believe this, it was mostly induced by the regime as a divide and conquer strategy. Because if you cannot unite Egyptians, they will not be able to do anything. And this is what happened during the revolution. The revolution wouldn't have succeeded if the Muslims hadn't united with the Christians and the different political groups united together. So, and I think this was played out in the revolution because the Muslims and Christians were side by side, and even when there was no police on the ground, the Muslims were protecting the churches, and even the Salafis were protecting the churches, and they have always been accused of being anti-Christian. So, so I think it will be better since now we got rid of this regime, and once things stabilize, I think there will be no such issues anymore.
What kind of governmental model would you like to see in Egypt? Is
I
it democratic or?
Yeah, definitely a democratic, and I would be in favor of a presidential model more than a parliamentary model, because I think maybe that's the nature of the Arab people, that they need to have a strong leader to lead their country and to maybe aspire to. So that's what I hope will happen.
Oh, that's great. And what is the worst that you have seen of the revolution so far? What is the worst that you've seen in terms of any violence or um, a loss of hope, people not being able to go about their daily lives as usual? What's
Yeah,
the worst that you've personally encountered?
yeah. Um, Looking back, I think the 18 days of the revolution itself was just a piece of cake. Especially now that we saw what happened in Syria and Yemen and Libya, of course. So obviously there has been a loss of lives, a lot, and but then you would say that these are martyrs, and they were actually the winners. We're the ones who lost this position and stayed back, and now we have to do all the tough work. So to me, it's يعني I feel like that 18 days of the revolution were al-jihad al-asghar, or the small jihad, and the work that we have to do now is al-jihad al-akbar, or the big jihad. And I would say that the worst part is the instability that's happening now, because it's basically like Egypt is like, you know, like you've been boiling some water for 60 years, and the lid just blew off. So the water will keep on boiling and spilling off until it cools down. So this is, I think, the stage where we're in. Maybe people are not used to, you know, to hearing all these different opinions about how to run the transitional period and how to run things in the future. So there's a lot of debate and a lot of differences in opinion. And it's a bit destabilizing, I guess. So I think that this is the real price that we have to pay. And to answer your question, I think this is the toughest part.
What do you think the West is completely blind to in regards to Egyptian politics, or even more widely Middle Eastern politics and the revolution that's spreading across the Middle East? What do you think that they're blind to and ignorant to?
I think what the West was blind to before was the fact that that the Arab world longed for freedom and longed to have the rights that every human should have. And to me, when I heard George Bush, for example, say that they hate us because they hated our freedom, it was like, what's this guy talking about? And I was surprised to know that some people actually believed what he was saying. I mean, why would anyone hate freedom? Yeah, it just didn't make any sense. So I hope that this is something that all these revolutions have taught the world.
Okay, well, thank you for answering some of my questions, Nahla, quite spontaneously. And inshallah, I wish the best for Egypt and the whole of the Middle East. And inshallah, these revolutions bring about a lot of peace and a model to the West as well.
Inshallah, and I hope you would follow the news and maybe be a part of it as well.
In any way we can, inshallah, of course. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.